This is Beneath the Surface at KPFK Radio on a sweltering Friday. So I'm here in studio with Jose Lara. Where do you want to start, Jose? What's happening at Santee High? And tell us a little about yourself.
Well, my name is Jose Lara. I'm a social justice educator teaching at Santee High School, which is located in South Central Los Angeles. Right. Santee High School is mostly low income. More than half of our students are English language learners. About 94% of our population is Latino. 6% of our population is Black or African American. Mm-hmm. And right now we're facing one of the largest crisis in education history here in California. Mm-hmm. Next year, school year, we're looking at class sizes up to 42 students per teacher. And when you start getting up to the lower 40s, higher 40s in students per teacher ratio, you stop teaching, you start babysitting. Mm-hmm. So what I'm really asking people to do and really to think about is the fact that we need a revolution of values, where we start valuing our children, where we start valuing education. I mean, education for me, myself, and one of the reasons I came into education was because I admire civil rights activists of the past. Mm-hmm. And for me, the number one civil rights issue is education. In the type of economy that we have, there's ups and downs constantly, and there's constantly going to be crises. What we have to decide is, are we willing to put the money into education and into the future of our children? Mm-hmm. That's what we really have to decide. Is this an issue that's important for us, enough for us to really address? There was not enough funding to begin with. Now there's even less funding. And in places like Santee High School, where I teach at, that means that there's not going to be provided services for the students that is necessary. There's a blight of poverty and impoverishment and oppression in South Central Los Angeles. That's without a doubt. Mm-hmm. One of the ways to combat this is through education, is through arts programs. It's through after-school programs. It's through sports. It's through programs that directly serve the community that we can combat some of this oppression that's going on in our communities. So without educational funding, what we're really saying to our children is that you're not important enough. Right. That's what is important, is making sure the banks stay afloat, that GM emerges from bankruptcy. What's really important is the Michael Jackson passed away, and we're going to make sure every single news story for the next 48 hours is about that. But when it comes time for the economic crisis and education, well, we don't know too much about that. So we really need here, and I'll say this again and again, is a revolution of our values to value education and our children first.
Wow. I don't even know where to begin, except that the need for teachers doesn't stop just because teachers are given pink slips. I mean, there's still, what happens in that terrible vacuum? There's no teachers, but yet the need is growing for students to be taught.
No, exactly. And
what a paradox.
So what starts happening is that class sizes start increasing.
I see.
And so when class sizes increase, you need less teachers for the students. Mm-hmm. So in a classroom, and it really becomes difficult. And for those who don't understand the complexities of inside of a classroom, I'll have about 4 or 5 students who are gifted, and they're just off the charts, wonderful students. In that very same classroom, I'll have about 3 or 4 that are special ed students that need specific attention, and I have to be there with them, guiding them through the curriculum. Another half of my students are English language learners at various levels. So some can read, some can't read in English. Most of them can read in some language, but not in English. So I have to struggle with those. So for a teacher, it becomes very complex. So the more students you put into a classroom, it's not just bodies that are put into your classrooms. It's more complex than that. What it really comes down to is it's going to start being where I'm going to have to start choosing which of these students am I going to be able to serve the best. Wow. Which ones am I going to be able to service the best? That's not a choice that I as a teacher want to make. I want to service all the students. Mm-hmm. And the state of California and the school district and the parents out there are expecting me to service their child the best to my ability. Right. However, with these structural conditions, it's almost impossible.
Is any of the stimulus money on its way to Santee High School?
Well, what's happening is that, yes, stimulus money has come to Los Angeles. The problem is that the school board members decided to save a little more than half that stimulus money for the next couple of years. So instead of using the money now and finding other creative solutions to these economic crisis and pushing and uniting with teachers and going down to Sacramento and going down to Washington to get more funding, they decided to do the conservative thing, which was to more than half the money in a bank account in case there's no more money that comes in. They can use that stimulus fund, and decided to raise classroom sizes, decided to cut summer school, decided to cut one of the programs which I like the most at Santee that's no longer there, which is our dropout prevention program, right? That's what they cut. That's what they ended up cutting, right? So for me, I could see what's going on here, and it's not pretty. So what we're deciding to do is to fight back. And one of the ways for the listeners that are out there, if you want to get involved into some of the fight back,
exactly. How can we help you?
Absolutely. Visit www.cutshurtkids.org. On that website, you'll see a myriad of actions and activities that are happening out throughout the city. As a matter of fact, we're mapping them. So every single time there's an action or a community that's fighting back, we put it up on our map so other people can know about it. You can follow us on Twitter as well at Cuts Hurt Kids. Follow us on Twitter, or you can follow myself on Twitter or on Facebook at Jose del Barrio would be my name online.
Are you Twittering?
I Twitter SN, but it's just so people get involved and people can get more active into what's going on.